What is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV today. 4 great matchups. Kicked off the start of the Mae Young Classic in episode 1, but what could the WWE possibly do to bring down the awesomeness of the Mae Young Classic? Stick around and find out. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's Mae Young Classic Episode 1 review. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Alright, wrestling fans, thank you so much for joining me. You know, one of the things that made the Mae Young Classic super special last week, at least in my opinion, was how removed it was from the main roster. There was little to no presence or mention of anything going on Raw or SmackDown. Sure, we had a couple of superstars show up in the crowd for a couple of specific matches, which kind of made sense. And it didn't bother me. But one of my biggest criticisms coming out of episode 1 is there was just way too much main roster bullshit. And I think it all starts with the surprise appearance of Michael Cole on commentary. Now listen, a lot of people give Michael Cole a lot of shit. I will admit that he did very well during the UK tournament. But the voice of Michael Cole has been bludgeoning, for lack of a better term, my ears for the last 20 years in professional wrestling, and I think he offers nothing to this commentary team, especially if you're using him as a replacement for Ranallo. Michael Cole does not call moves, and all he does is talk. Last year we talked about how Jim Ross and Lita didn't really say a lot. But maybe looking back at it, that was a little bit better. Sometimes less is more. They didn't really add too much insight on commentary, but in this case, this year, it's just too much jibber-jabber. Too much talking throughout the entirety of the matches, and this guy wants to talk about Charlotte Flair. We got Rhea Ripley in the ring with MJ Jenkins, tearing it up in a fantastic match, and this guy wants to talk about how Rhea Ripley looks like Charlotte Flair. You want to know who Rhea Ripley looks like? I'm going to show you right now. Take a look at this. I think the resemblance between Rhea Ripley and Pete Dunne is very uncanny. And this is either the same person or these two were possibly separated at birth, because you can't get any closer than that, especially given her new attitude and the way she was in today's Mae Young Classic, which we'll talk about in a second. But you want to keep talking about Charlotte Flair. Why? You want to talk about The Miz while these girls are wrestling. Why? You have to have Natalya have an interview to give you her predictions for the Mae Young Classic, taking up time that could have been added to some of these matches for these girls to showcase their abilities. Why? We didn't have all this last year. We have to talk about Women's Evolution, the pay-per-view. You want to talk about Evolution, you look at the match quality that we had in this first episode. But I can't believe that Michael Cole just absolutely ruined it for me. I think if Ranallo was unavailable or pulled out at the last second, you would have been just fine with Renee Young and Beth Phoenix. They are doing a fantastic job. I love Beth Phoenix on commentary. She earned her chops in the Mixed Match Challenge last year, and she is more than welcome on the commentary team. She's fantastic. Renee Young also has proven to be very good. Why did you need the male voice of Michael Cole in the middle of this thing to ruin it? Michael Cole has an obsession with telling us what time it is. I know we're getting off topic, but this is what ruined the Mae Young Classic, and I didn't expect to bring the hammer down when I sat here, but I have to tell you guys the truth. It totally lowered the quality of the show to me. His obsession with time. It's Mako time? You could think of nothing else. Don't you know you use that on every other show? We have to hear it. It's boss time! Right? He says it all the fucking time, and we're tired of hearing it. And that's his go-to phrase during a matchup. It's go time! And then he uses the same exact inflection when he goes, it's the big dog! Can you say something different at least? Or how about you just don't be a part of this? Because it absolutely ruined it for me, in case you couldn't tell from my little rant. And that's the biggest things coming out of the Mae Young Classic that bothered me. I just have to throw it out there. Way too many people on the main roster showing up. Why is Funaki there? Why do we have to see Funaki and Ty Dillinger sitting there? Why do we give a shit that Alexa Bliss is sitting there? This night is not about them. This night is not about the main roster. This night is about the girls that absolutely killed it on tonight's episode of the Mae Young Classic. It was very annoying to me. Very annoying. And hopefully it's not the way the rest of this tournament is going to go. And maybe Mauro Ranallo will pop up in future episodes and save this whole entire thing. Because last year's Mae Young Classic definitely was lacking because it minus the presence of Mauro Ranallo, and that seems to be happening again. But now that we got that out of the way, let's start talking about the ladies. 4 tremendous matchups. I got to see some of the finest talent you will ever see assembled on any roster anywhere, female or not. And it all started off with Zatara versus Tegan Nox. Zatara, the first Chilean-born WWE performer. Tegan Nox, formerly known as Nixon Newell, idolized Molly Holly growing up in her early ages. That was a terrible thing. I don't know what I was supposed to say there, but let's just move along. Zatara came in this thing with a very solid game plan, focusing on the previously and very well-known injured knee of Tegan Nox. But this game plan would end up not working out to her advantage. As much as she attacked that right knee of Tegan Nox, she endured everything that Zatara was able to hit her with, and out of nowhere, I finally got a chance to see the shiniest of wizards as she delivered the Shining Wizard to Zatara, and surprising actually to me, I thought Zatara might have at least made it to the second round, but Tegan Nox wins this matchup and advances to round 2. It was a great match. These girls definitely, you can tell maybe a little bit they were nervous. They were the opening match of the entire contest. It was a little bit slow. There was a little bit of a I don't want to say a mismatch, but it was just a little slow going at first, but the girls definitely performed big time, and it was a great opening matchup to get things started. But it definitely started to roll even more upward in its momentum when I've seen Rhea Ripley versus MJ Jenkins. This is not the same Rhea Ripley we saw last year. She came in dressed like a professional wrestler. She came in all smiles and all happy and just trying to win the Mae Young Classic, and I'm just happy to be here. This year, that is not the case. This is an all-new Rhea Ripley, and it was unfortunate for MJ Jenkins in her WWE debut, which was fantastic. I am into MJ Jenkins. She was high energy. She was very, very positive, very athletic, absolutely highly animated. She almost never stopped moving unless Rhea Ripley just knocked her out with the sheer brute force that this girl brought to this matchup. She came out dressed in spikes, like that picture I just showed you guys of her and Pete Dunne. She looked exactly like him. That's why I even made that picture to put up here, because I'm watching this girl wrestle in the ring, and all I could think of is, goddamn, she's a female Pete Dunne. And she's awesome. And MJ Jenkins, to her credit, though she took most of the abuse, she was awesome as well. A lot of very, very impressive springboard maneuvers. She hit Rhea Ripley at one point with a springboard dropkick that actually took her down and got her a very close 2 count. But it didn't matter because Rhea Ripley would hit that pump handle power bomb that she does and gets the pin, and Rhea Ripley advances to the next round. I loved that match, and I hope to see a whole lot more of MJ Jenkins. She was a lot of fun, I thought, just to watch. She just made me feel happy to watch. I'm like, this girl is cool. She's got a great positive energy. I could see her fitting in with the girls. She's different. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a female Ken Broadway, minus all the cash flow stuff, but she was absolutely fantastic. I enjoyed the shit out of this match, and Rhea Ripley's moving on, and whoever she's got next better watch out, because she's coming to win this thing, and she's coming with a vengeance. 6'2", Vanessa the Mountain Craven. This girl in the ring looked absolutely sick. And in comparison to her opponent, Lacey Lane, she looked like Andre the fucking Giant in there. This girl's look was fantastic. Lacey Lane's look, she came out, she kind of looked a little bit like the Predator, but I couldn't help but realize that her gimmick and her whole thing is very, very Ember Moon-ish, if you ask me. If I'm Ember Moon, I'm looking at this girl and I'm not happy. Because unless they throw them in a tag team, which would be fucking fantastic, I think. Lacey Lane definitely proved to me how great she is. There was one moment in this match where she did have a slight botch, but you could forgive that when you take into account what she was trying to do. This girl jumped to the top rope and walked the tightrope, tried to execute a very unique springboard maneuver where she bounced from the first rope, then bounced off the second rope, back up to the third rope. And we will not know how that move was initially going to end up because she slipped on her way back up and botched the move. Unfortunately, she went down to the canvas, but she would recover very quickly. And this was a David and Goliath tale unlike I have ever seen before. Everything Vanessa Craven hit her with looked like it would have broke me in half. The girl is absolutely terrifying. I expect her to be signed up very, very quickly. If they don't grab her, they're absolutely insane, because Vanessa Craven was the real deal. Her power was very, very impressive, and just like in the first matchup of the night with Tegan Nox, Lacey Lane would not be denied, even though she is in there with a 12-year veteran of the ring, somebody twice her size, with 3 times, maybe 4 times her power. She outlasted Vanessa Craven, using her speed and her agility to her advantage at every turn, and she would finally, very surprisingly to me, execute a beautiful crucifix bomb on this gigantic woman and get the win. Gets the 3 count. She seemed surprised herself, and I was very, very happy at the end of this thing. I didn't ever see Lacey Lane before. I had no idea what to expect. The Dudley boys are doing things right down there. They have a couple of trainees in MJ Jenkins and in Lacey Lane that have done absolutely fantastic here. The whole sequence of events leading to the finish of this match was fantastic. If you missed episode 1, I can't say it enough in this review. You gotta go and watch it right now before next Wednesday comes and we have to do this all over again for episode number 2. This show ended with the final matchup featuring the final boss. It's Mako time! Idiot. Versus Killer Kelly. You usually don't face the final boss at the beginning of any tournament. Usually you have to earn your way to that right. Any video game aficionado knows that's usually the case. And unfortunately for Killer Kelly, that's not the way it works in reality. And she had to face what I am saying right now until I see the rest of the field. Once again, this was my first experience seeing Mako Satomura. And I have to say that she is everything that all of you guys told me she would be. I had a lot of people in the comment section and coming at me on Twitter, not in a negative way, but just telling me, dude, wait until you see Mako. Just like you guys are hyping up Io Shirai. And the way Mako Satomura delivered tonight, I can't wait to see her as well. And if this tournament is going to end up with the collision of those two, I just can't wait to see it. And I still don't even know what to expect from Io Shirai. But in this matchup, it was a very gritty, very hard-hitting matchup, and no matter the legend of Mako Satomura, no matter if she's the final boss or not, Killer Kelly came to play tonight, and she definitely gave Mako Satomura a match. I expected to see a complete beatdown with little to no offense for Killer Kelly, but that was not the case. She was tough as nails, man, and Satomura is just intense. She did this cartwheel double back stomp. I can't even explain it. You know, I wouldn't even fault Michael Cole for not coming up with a move because I didn't know what to call it. It was like a springboard double stomp with both her feet across the back. It was absolutely beautiful. Something I never ever seen before. Satomura would hit the Death Valley Driver for the win. It was absolutely fantastic. At one point, Killer Kelly hit a perfect plex for a very, very, very close 2 count. It actually looked at home and to the people on the broadcast team as well reacted as if Killer Kelly got the win because it was that close. You want to talk 2 9/10? My God. Fisherman suplex, perfect plex, whatever you want to call it, was literally 1 hair away from defeating a legend in the business. So Killer Kelly has nothing to hang her head about. She's going to go to the NXT UK and start tearing it up over there. If you can go toe-to-toe with Mako time, then you can wrestle pretty much anybody and probably end up coming out on top in the end. I see what the hype is about, man. Satomura is awesome. Absolutely awesome. We had a show of respect between the two girls to close out this episode. Meiko Satomura, Killer Kelly, hugging and handshaking and all that good sportsmanship stuff. And we are leading up into next week's episode. Everything we've seen tonight is head and above anything we've seen on the main roster. Guys and girls this week. You want to talk about the best wrestling show? NXT pretty much blew any show out of the water this week. But if you want to exclude them from the equation, because nothing's going to top Johnny Gargano versus the Velveteen Dream. We might actually talk about that one at another time. But this show was fantastic. You want to talk about a women's evolution? You want to see women's wrestling? This is women's wrestling. This is the kind of stuff that we were treated at All In with that beautiful Fatal 4-Way match that we had to watch that night. Absolutely fantastic. These girls know how to wrestle. They know how to tell a story in the ring. Each one of these matchups had a particular story they were trying to tell, which was absolutely different from the last. And I enjoyed every single minute with the exception of the majority of the commentary, and every time we had to cut away to some unnecessary WWE main roster star trying to soak up the glory of the Mae Young Classic. And that's only a testament to how fucking good the show was last year, that this year the WWE wants their hands all over it. And they got the WWE Evolution pay-per-view. They got it tied to this by having the finals taking place at that. So get ready, because we are going to hear plenty of hype for that pay-per-view. And that's what I mean when I say last year there wasn't any of that. We weren't looking forward to anything. We weren't hyping anything else. We were just worried about the Mae Young Classic. We weren't talking about Raw bullshit. We weren't talking about SmackDown bullshit. We weren't coming up with phrases like it's Mako time. Awful. The worst part of the show. So, if you eliminate Michael Cole, I'm telling you, that's all you need to do. Hopefully Mauro Ranallo comes back and saves us, but they don't need a third commentator. The three-man team just put way too much bullshit over all these matches. Regardless of how good Beth Phoenix was and Renee Young was, Michael Cole was the lead announcer, and he kept throwing bullshit out there, and then the girl A would respond, girl B would respond, and the match is going on, and nobody's talking about what's really happening in the match. They're talking about this one's personal life, this one's inspiration, this one looks like Charlotte, this one carries herself like The Miz. What the fuck are you talking about, bro? We're talking about, you should be talking about and focused on them and only them. And at the risk of going back off into another rant, hopefully you guys stuck around through all that, and I thank you for doing that. And I know you guys tuned in just to hear the results and the review, but what do, my friends? We bring the hammer down when it's needed. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to bring the hammer down on the Mae Young Classic. I didn't bring it down last year, that's for shit sure. But this year, things needed to be said. And now I've said them, and I promise to not reiterate them too much unless Michael Cole really gives me reason to continue to hammer him the way I want to hammer him every Monday night. Because he's just garbage. He's just awful. He really, really is. And if you don't think that that's the case, then maybe you need a hearing aid because you're probably going a little deaf. So turn the volume up on this video and then go to the doctor when it's done and get your hearing checked. Because if Michael Cole don't bother you, something wrong with you. Especially the way he was in this program. He don't know what fucking moves. He don't even know the names of any of the moves. Just talks bullshit over high quality wrestling. Michael Cole's voice does not belong with high quality wrestling. He belongs in the mediocrity and the shit show that is Monday Night Raw. And let him stay there until he goes away. Thank you guys so much. That is your review of the episode 1 Mae Young Classic 2018. I cannot wait for next Wednesday. It's going to be a happening, and I hope to see you guys there, just like I hope to see you here when all is said and done. Don't forget to get your fill of everything on this channel. We've got the All-In review. Monday Night Raw review this week was hot as fire. If you missed it, check it out. It'll be in the annotations up in the right-hand corner. SmackDown Live. Hammer had to come down because something about SmackDown Live was a little bit fishy, and if you didn't know what it is, you got to check that review out to find out, and let me know what you think of it when you get there. Just like I want to let you know what you think about tonight's Mae Young Classic. Don't forget to leave your comments down in the comment section below. Smash that like button with your sledgehammers at home, and then share this video with each and every one of your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world, especially if they fucking loved the Mae Young Classic the way I did, Michael Cole or not. And most importantly, this is your first time here, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. Bring the hammer down on the subscribe button and then hit that notification bell so that you won't miss a thing on your official station for the Mae Young Classic. If you missed our bracketology and all of our preview leading up into it, it was fantastic. I put a lot of work into it. Nobody loves the Mae Young Classic and gives it the respect like we do here at the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. That's going to do it, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again all week long. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is Thor the Sledgehammer, the official sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, and the wrestling god of Thunder, his tag team partner, my little buddy, and the world heavyweight champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Baloo the Snowball. We are so glad to be with you. Thank you all so very, very much. That is going to do it, and we are out of here, and we will see you next time right here on the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV.